Why military men are preferred. Boots strike stone before sunrise. Measured, unhurried. A formation moves as one body, not many. Steel buttons catch the light. Ranks hold. Silenced is the speaking. In monarchies that endure, the question is never romantic. It is structural. For Princess Leonor, preference is never personal. Military formation signals discipline, loyalty, and continuity in institutions built to outlast individuals. Spain's crown was not shaped by ceremony alone. It was preserved by order. Uniforms matter because they remove ego from the frame. They replace self with service. They subordinate impulse to command. This is the living thread of continuity. 2 minutes in, the assumption fractures. This is not about men. It is about systems trained to obey rules even under pressure. Military culture teaches something civil society often resists. Authority is legitimate only when it is constrained. Power survives only when it answers to structure. National identity is woven into these rituals. Spain's modern monarchy emerged from a century that punished disorder. Civil conflict, dictatorship, transition held together by discipline rather than sentiment. In that context, the military became a language of reassurance. When an heir trains alongside officers, it is not symbolic bonding. It is alignment with the one institution designed to function when politics fractures. Because the word, officer, does not describe a person. It describes a mindset, chain of command, duty before desire, silence under instruction. In the United Kingdom, this logic is familiar. Uniformed proximity signals continuity with the state, not the individual. In the United States, where civilian control of the military is paramount, discipline still reads as stability. Canada and Australia see institutional loyalty, not hierarchy. Germany recognizes the warning embedded in restraint. History taught it well. The preference is not attraction. It is predictability. At 8 minutes, the deeper mystery surfaces. Why does the institution care so much about proximity to the military? Because monarchies do not command armies. They embody them. The crown cannot issue orders. It must symbolize unity above command. That balance is delicate. Too close, and authority looks coercive. Too distant, and it looks ceremonial. Military formation sits precisely in the middle. At 10 minutes, pressure becomes visible. Spain navigates regional tensions, political fragmentation, and a public increasingly skeptical of inherited authority. In such an environment, visible discipline becomes currency. Continuity is not abstract here, it is embodied in visible presence. At 14 minutes, the point of no return approaches quietly. Once the future sovereign is read as structurally aligned with the armed forces, neutrality becomes expectation. From that moment, personal choice is narrow. Associations are no longer private. They are read as institutional signals. By 19 minutes, the future fault line appears. A generation uneasy with uniforms. A global audience sensitive to symbolism. A world that confuses order with rigidity. The institution must walk carefully. Military men are preferred not because they dominate, but because they submit to hierarchy, to law, to restraint. The final return is unavoidable. The real answer is quieter. The crown does not seek partnership. It seeks compatibility with structure. The formation dissolves. The courtyard empties. The discipline remains. And the institution moves forward, aware that what it aligns with today will define what it survives tomorrow. History is still watching. The alignment does not end with visibility. It extends into expectation. As Princess Leonor advances toward her future role, the institution becomes increasingly intolerant of ambiguity, not because it fears choice, but because choice invites interpretation. Military formation removes interpretation. Uniforms speak one language. Hierarchy is legible. Obedience is assumed, not negotiated. This is why preference hardens into pattern. In constitutional monarchies, proximity to the armed forces is not about force. It is about reassurance that force will remain controlled. The crown exists to guarantee continuity, not command it. To stand above conflict, not inside it. That position only survives if discipline is visible, familiar, and trusted. This is the living thread of continuity. As public life intensifies, scrutiny sharpens. Every association becomes a signal. Every presence becomes a statement. Civilian figures bring variability. They carry opinions, ambitions, exposure. Military figures carry doctrine. Doctrine outlives personality. International observers read this instantly. In Washington, it signals predictability within democratic constraint. In London, it echoes centuries of civil-military balance. Canada and Australia recognize institutional loyalty over individual influence. Germany, cautious by design, sees the deliberate distance between authority and force, and approves of it. Nothing here is accidental. The deeper tension emerges quietly. What happens when a future sovereign is expected to embody neutrality while standing beside institutions defined by command? The answer is restraint. Military culture is built around limits. Rules of engagement, chains of accountability, consequences for deviation. These limits mirror constitutional monarchy itself. At this stage, preference becomes safeguard. Not of power, but of legitimacy. The point of no return arrives not with marriage or alliance, but with perception. Once the public reads military alignment as stabilizing, reversal becomes risky. Change would suggest uncertainty. Uncertainty erodes trust. So the pattern holds. The institution does not ask whether this is modern. It asks whether it is durable. Ahead lies a world less tolerant of hierarchy, more suspicious of uniform. A world where symbols are questioned faster than they are understood. Whether discipline can still persuade is unresolved. For now, formation remains the answer. Order remains the signal. Restraint remains the currency. The boots will stop. The uniforms will fade into the background. But the structure they represent will remain. And the institution continues forward. Aware that survival has never depended on emotion. Only on control. The next alignment has not yet been made. History will decide if this one was enough.